Good morning, boys and girls. Today I'd like to talk to you just a little bit before we go ahead and read the next chapter. I want to talk a little bit about sayings and phrases, which are super important through the Core Knowledge program, and themes, which are one of the things that we're talking about here when we talk about the wind in the willows. So we're going to have our very first saying and phrase, and I know last year when you did Core Knowledge, there were sayings and phrases that you guys learned. And this one is a saying that Rat could have used today or yesterday when we did the reading. And it's called Let Bygones Be Bygones. Now, if you remember, a saying or phrase or proverb is a traditional saying that's been passed along orally from generation to generation. So it's just words that get used and passed along from grandma to mom to kid. And they're usually expressing general truths based on experience or observations of everyday life. So when we hear the phrase "let bygones be bygones," you sort of hear two different words. You hear the word "by" and the word "gone." Or if you switched it around, something that has gone by. And when we think about that phrase that way and turn that word around a little bit, we sort of get an understanding of what this might mean. If somebody says, "let bygones be bygones," well, a bygone is something that has already happened. It's already gone by. So the meaning of this proverb would be that one should forget about past events that may have caused bad feelings. So who in today's read aloud could have said, "let bygones be bygones"? I think it was Rat. Do you remember when Mole and Rat are back in the boat after Mole upset the boat and Mole is apologizing for his behavior? Rat said to the Mole, "Don't you think any more about it." He's saying, let's just put that behind us and move forward. What he could have said is, "let bygones be bygones." And that's what that means. Let's let the stuff that has gone by be behind us and let's move forward. So that's one of our very first sayings and phrases for the year. And the next thing I want to talk about before we get a chance to get into the actual reading today is about themes. We've talked a lot about how an author uses literary tools in this fictional story to move the story along and help us understand what they're trying to say. So a new literary theme that we're going to talk about for the first time today and talk a lot about for the rest of the story are themes. And themes are broad ideas that come up many times over the course of a story or a book. Themes are another part of fiction writing, like characters, setting, plot, and now we have themes. Themes can repeat over and over again in a story. Some of the repeating themes that we will hear in The Wind in the Willows are friendship, loyalty, responsibility, and irresponsibility. And I think we've already seen some of those themes come up in just the first two chapters of this story. For example, the theme of friendship, we have seen even yesterday that Mole offered to pack up the picnic lunch basket when Rat really wanted to just rest. That's a theme of friendship. Also, Rat rescued Mole from the river. That's a theme of friendship. And when Rat forgives Mole for overturning his boat, that shows great loyalty and friendship. And then again, when Rat suggested that to let bygones be bygones instead of holding a grudge, for sure that was loyalty. When someone is loyal, that means that they stay faithful and committed to something or someone, no matter what, during the good times and during the bad times. So we will continue to talk about those themes of responsibility and irresponsibility, friendship and loyalty that you will see throughout The Wind and the Willows. A responsible person is someone who takes care of things that he or she is supposed to. A responsible person does good work and can be trusted and depended on to do the right things. So when we think about someone who's irresponsible, ir is a prefix that means not, and so irresponsible is an antonym or opposite of the word responsible. So irresponsibility means to not have any sense of responsibility. An irresponsible person is someone who does not think carefully enough about his or her actions and does not consider the possible consequences. So it's one of our community expectations here at Lincoln Charter School is responsibility, because we need to take care of the things that we are responsible for. So we will continue to see, especially today, we'll be introduced to a character who really does some irresponsible things. Let's go back and see if we can remember literary tool of perspective, dialogue, and narration we've already really talked about, and we just introduced theme. So do you remember what dialogue is? Dialogue is a conversation between characters in the story. So it's what the characters say to each other. And what distinguishes narration from dialogue when we're reading it? Well, if you see quotation marks, then that is dialogue. That shows the exact words that people are saying to each other. Narration can just be whoever the narrator is and from whoever's perspective it is. Narration can be thoughts of a character or their actions or their experiences, and that can also be the perspective of through which a story is told. So today we have heard the story through Mole's perspective, and we will continue to see that. But perspective can change. Sometimes we get the thoughts and the feelings and the actions of a different character, and that means that perspective has changed. Just like we can have the setting change from Mole's house to Rat's house to down the river to somewhere else, the perspective of a story can change, and that helps to move the story along. All right, so that's a quick introduction. I'm going to stop here, and then we will begin to introduce the story with some questions in just a moment.